foundation. The 7th Battalion Nexus's finest, undefeated for a century, had never lost. They were Mercy's shield in the war. Now they were gone. Creus recounted the battle's horror, the collapse of lines, the impossible odds. His tone remained steady, but his grief was palpable. Then he turned and left, boots echoing on the marble as the doors sealed behind him. Silence pressed in. Slowly, cadets drifted toward the exits, faces pale, eyes hollow. Dormitory whispers echoed, "They're gone. How is this possible?" In Blake's quarters, tension hung heavy. Blake stood by the window as others slumped on bunks. "What now?" he asked at last, voice low. One cadet let out a raw laugh. "We're finished. Our best, we can't replace them for 100 years. Another spat bitterly. "The king wasted resources on southern evacuations. We lost good soldiers for nothing." A swift, brutal punch from Blake silenced him. The boy crumpled, gasping. "What the hell, Blake?" someone barked, but Blake didn't move. Blake's voice dropped to a cold whisper. "Repeat that, and I guarantee you'll taste blood before you finish the sentence." The student on the floor looked up, trembling, unable to answer. He didn't need to. Everyone in that room understood what he'd implied. Logic didn't matter. Mercy never abandoned its own. Proud warriors who always fought straight on. They were strict and disciplined, but they always fought with each other in mind. Blake turned away, exhaling raggedly. "Fortis," he finally said, seeking his friend's counsel. "Thoughts?" Silence answered. Fortis's bunk lay empty. "He went to the library," one cadet murmured, "probably still high on that Gera win." The library of Nexus stood as a tower of learning. Shelves reached so high they disappeared into shadow, each row humming faintly with the magic that preserved the pages. Some of the books were older than Mercy itself, relics written by hands long turned to dust, from empires whose names had been forgotten. It was said that the first king of Mercy began the collection during his great expansion, gathering the wisdom of every race and language he encountered. Centuries later, the archive had grown into a world unto itself, layered with spiral staircases and whispering lights that floated between the aisles. Students joked it would take a year to walk its full length. Most never tried. Usually the place overflowed with scholars of all species, absorbing the knowledge within. But tonight, only one student moved alone through the stacks. "You're here again, huh?" Blake emerged from behind a stack of books. Fortis glanced up from the page he'd been tracing with his finger. "Hey, Blake. Sorry, didn't notice you." He returned to the text, reading the same line twice before its meaning finally registered. The library hummed with nothing but the soft buzz of enchanted lamps, unusually quiet tonight. Around him, books lay scattered across the table in organized chaos, some splayed open to key passages, others stacked in precarious towers, marking his research path. Blake scanned the tome in Fortis's hands. The history of disease. Really? Fortis's eyes never left the page. The southern plague doesn't behave like a pathogen. It drains mana instantly, seems more like a spell. You don't think the Drax? No. Their mana control isn't that refined. They wouldn't risk something that kills them faster than us. Blake rubbed the back of his neck and sighed. Well, at least that's one less awful thing to blame on them. Are you planning to stay here all night again? He smiled easily. Of course, I have to use my origin for something, right? Blake snorted. I still can't believe that's what you ended up with Cerebral Castle. No wonder you're essentially zero in your combat classes. He leaned forward. How can you even be a ring-bearer with that magic? Every ring-bearer and even the crown-bearer developed their origin for large-scale battle. Reading won't save you out there. He shrugged. He wasn't wrong. Cerebral Castle wasn't flashy like fire or lightning. It let him stay awake for weeks, think faster, and stay sharp, but he couldn't gather mana or cast other spells while using it, which made it useless in a real fight. Still, it was priceless for learning. Blake perched on the chair across from him. What's the longest you've gone without sleep? 2 months of studying, he admitted. I tried 3 once, but the last few weeks barely counted. I could hardly understand half of it. Almost killed myself. Blake sighed. You're insane. Why not just use the glyph recordings and transfer the knowledge to your head like a normal Mercy? You'd learn in a fraction of the time and you'd probably survive the semester. He laughed softly. It's not the same. When you absorb someone else's glyphs, you get their biases and interpretations. You don't really learn, you just copy. I'd rather figure things out myself, even if it takes longer. He leaned back, shaking his head. That's so you. You know, the king was like that when he was younger, read everything himself. Maybe that's why you're both terrible at listening. He gave a faint smile. Blake nudged an open book on the table. If you put half that effort into your Gera matches, you'd be in the top 5. There's probably a strategy in here about the formation Kaiser used. Spear's hedge formation, he replied without hesitation. From the Ballad of Alexander, Kaiser favored it for years. Blake's eyebrows shot up. What? It's a rapid assault formation, he explained. A strong tip, a queen breaks the front lines. Knights cover the wings and follow through the breach. It worked until a Devian king countered with mages who slowed the advance and bombarded the flanks. Blake stared for a moment, then laughed. You've already figured out the perfect counter, didn't you? Maybe. Then why didn't you use it in your match? He closed the book and looked up. Gera's meant to teach us to think, not just repeat what's worked before. If all you ever do is copy, you stop learning. Blake chuckled, and here I thought you just liked losing. Maybe I do, he said with a grin. Losing teaches faster. Most Mercy strategies are straight and fast, Kaiser's style. It worked when we were winning, but now… He stood and stretched. Well, whatever works for you. Glad to see you're not sulking like the rest of Nexus. I'll leave you to your books. Hey, Blake, Fortis called. He paused. Yeah? We'll win. We haven't lost yet. He smiled faintly. As always, the optimist. When Blake left, silence returned, heavier than before. The candle beside Fortis sputtered and hissed as he turned another page. He frowned at the lines before him. It made no sense that the 7th had just lost. Even outnumbered, they never disappeared, always held their ground. Like everyone in Nexus, Fortis had dreamed of the 7th Battalion. Not just the strongest warriors joined their ranks, but future generals destined to lead their own commands. He leaned back, pressing a thumb to the bridge of his nose. Gotta hand it to them, he muttered. If they wanted a fight, this was it. Most of our sick are clustered in one region, and only our fastest, our best, could respond. All his knowledge, strategy, history, theory, felt pointless if he couldn't act on it. All he could do was read, think, and wait. As candlelight danced across the page, Fortis rubbed his tired eyes. A faint glow from above caught his attention. He squinted up. What's that? The light pulsed, steady, bright, nothing like the normal flicker of magical lanterns. There shouldn't be anyone in the library right now. He rose, chair scraping softly against the floor. The air felt thicker somehow, humming underneath. As he climbed the grand staircase, the glow intensified, spilling pale white light from the sealed 8th floor. That couldn't be right. The 8th floor was off-limits barrier, alarms, everything. Yet the magic wall was gone. Hello? Anyone there? He called, voice echoing. No answer. He hesitated, then shrugged. Regulations are suggestions anyway. Each step up made the mana around him thicken, tingling at his fingertips. At the top landing, his progress slowed as though wading through water. In the center of the empty chamber floated a sphere of calm light, rimmed with gentle red pulses of mana the size of a basketball. Threads of energy drifted outward like mist. What is this? He whispered, edging closer. At its core lay a small metallic coronet, simple but elegant. His heart thumped. Without thinking, he reached out. The moment his fingers brushed the sphere, it exploded in a flash of white. The light vanished, and with it, the coronet. What? Welcome, ruler. The voice wasn't around him, but inside his head. Fortis froze. What the hell? He touched his temple and blinked. Something cold rested on his scalp. Stumbling to a glossed wood reflection panel, he saw it. The coronet, perfectly settled as if always there. He yanked at it, but it wouldn't budge. Minutes of futile tugging left him panting. Great, that's not concerning at all. He drew a slow breath. Wait. Could this be the Council's new system? The rumors clicked into place. The Royal Research Division had been developing a next-gen Gera able to replicate a general's ring and simulate massive warfields. And the barrier had just been its containment. So this was the field. He glanced at the faint mana residue still hanging in the air. Something tripped the defenses and shut it all down. He stared at the coronet, a grin tugging at his lips. I'll bet they'd never let me touch this. But hey, he shrugged, I'm sure they won't mind if I borrow it for a bit. He rolled his shoulders, already imagining the data streams and simulations he could run until he noticed the pale shimmer still clinging to his skin. Ah, crap. Better shut that down first. His mind flashed back to Blake's enchanted reading glasses and the explosion that followed. Painful lesson learned. Yeah, not doing that again. His origin didn't mix well with most items. He closed his eyes and murmured, "Cerebral castle." The glow evaporated instantly. For a heartbeat, everything went silent. Then pain exploded behind his eyes and the floor rushed up. The last thing he saw before blacking out was the coronet's soft pulse against the cold marble.